Welcome to today's comedy party. Just then, the protagonist walks in with a cup of coffee and watches his mom gulp it down. Later that night, he stumbles upon an injured kitten on his way home. He quickly takes the kitten to the vet, only to find the fish food gone at home. He rushes to the pet store again and, while paying, remembers the kitten asking the cashier, which cat food is best for little Patience. The cashier replies she's not a vet and can't help. Meanwhile, a woman behind him enthusiastically starts recommending products. Leaving the store, he opens his suitcase, finding his dumpling-making tools and essential seasoning. He keeps these tools on him wherever he goes, even to his job at the precinct. Just then, the woman behind him catches his attention. Maybe it's fate, as the woman strikes up a conversation. What a coincidence, they are both taking the same bus, and when he introduces himself, he says he's a cop. As the woman prepares to disembark, Joe warns her to be careful, mentioning the serial killer targeting women in town. She readily agrees. The woman asks Joe to walk her home, and while he drapes a coat over her, he nonchalantly stuffs a weapon into his waistband, proudly claiming it's They step into a pitch-black alley, with the woman gripping his arm in terror. But then, in an unexpected plot twist, she abruptly grabs the gun out of his hand and aims it straight at Joe. She confirms she's got the right guy, forcing Joe to strip down and assert she knows exactly who he is and what he's done. She orders Joe to handcuff her to the car and proceeds to search through his briefcase, forcefully tearing off his jacket and pointing a knife at his chest. No matter how hard he pleads for mercy, she remains utterly unmoved. Her wild antics make Joe realize she might be even crazier than him. What on earth does she want? Now that's a good question. Have you found it yet? Should I be angry? Wait, I thought you were going to be the next suspect. You planning to toss me out? Are you saying you're going to kill me at my own home? You've clearly got it all wrong. Really? I said, zip it, be careful now. I might just trip. Clearly, she knows Joe's identity and is well aware of his job at the precinct, mentioning how he's just a janitor there. She tapes his mouth shut and asks, "Who can you kill?" "Your mom." Before Joe can process this, she pulls out some pliers from nowhere. You're probably dying to see what happens next, but trust me, I can't show you. When Joe wakes up the next morning, the handcuffs are gone. Despite that relief, his waist still hurts like crazy, but he realizes he can't rest or call the cops. Any suspicious moves might just land him in hot water. Alone and panicking, Joe finally calls his fellow janitor, Sally, who has always had the crush on him, and she readily agrees. Not only does she hide his injuries, but she even takes the time to stitch him up. What a sweetheart. Looking at the photos on the table, Sally realizes this guy isn't simple. Tidying the room, she finds a key, but it doesn't fit. Before leaving, she hooks Joe to a drip, promising to return. When Joe wakes from his nightmare, it's 2 days later. The intense pain has left his memory blank. He completely forgets that he called Sally for help. Staring at the urine bag next to the bed, he falls into deep thought until a phone call jolts him back. It's the vet, telling him the cat has survived. They mention if he doesn't want to adopt, the cat will go to a shelter. But Joe's too preoccupied to think straight. He half-heartedly agrees to adopt and hangs up. Looking at his spotless room makes him realize the gravity of the situation. He quickly yanks out the Roman 4 and grabs his bags, ready to flee. Just then, there's a knock at the door. He considers escaping through the window, but is too exhausted, so he reluctantly opens the door. After, to his surprise, he finds a package on the floor. Opening it reveals not only his phone, but also a set of lockpicks that Melissa had confiscated. He suddenly realizes the sender knows his address but hasn't tipped off the police. The items in the photo are the very tools of his trade. At that moment, she notices a pendant around her neck and instantly recognizes her benefactor. She limps to the precinct, catching Detective Carl's attention. Faced with his questions, she lies, claiming she tripped and was off yesterday. Astonishingly, he buys the ridiculous excuse without a second thought. It's clear she's become a master of disguise. Meanwhile, Joe learns that Sally has taken a leave of absence. The next moment, he bolts to Sally's place, planning to handle the situation with finesse, only to discover that Sally is adorably clueless, her identity slipping out effortlessly. Initially, she receives a call from Melissa, who claims the last victim wasn't Joe's doing, and she hopes Sally can find the real killer clearly. This game has already started in her mind. Back at the precinct, she starts eavesdropping again, and inadvertently learns the victim's husband has a strong motive. Upon hearing this news, she couldn't wait to head straight to his house the very night. Following the lifting of the lockdown after several days, she effortlessly pushes open the door and quickly slips inside. However, once inside, she draws the curtains and sits on the bed sipping a beer while the victim's husband is called to the interrogation room. She insists his wife was killed by a sculptor, mocking police for not catching the killer in 2 years. Just then, the female officer places a document in front of her. The man argues marital disputes are normal, adding, "She cheated multiple times, I couldn't help it." Unfortunately, this is the place for casual domestic violence. Meanwhile, Joe places the photo back, attempting to regain some clues or inspiration. She notices the handwriting on the floor doesn't match any from the time of the incident, and the files suggest the victim was working on a crossword puzzle. It turns out the killer faced resistance from the victim, and in the scuffle, the pen was knocked from their hand, leaving marks on the wall. In the end, the evidence was swapped, and since only insiders could change things after the cops took photos, that points to the killer being a cop. Just as he's pondering this, he suddenly hears a door creaking open outside. He quickly turns off the lights and hides in the bathroom, while Detective Tal walks into the room. After spotting the beers on the counter, Tal seems to have an idea and heads toward the balcony. As they are about to meet, Tal leaves urgently after a family call. Joe quickly grabs the beer bottle after he's gone. He bolts out, but instead of going home, he heads straight to a nearby mansion, his second target. If you enjoyed this humorous version, please like and subscribe to my channel. More fun content is waiting for you to discover.